Just close your eyes and let them rest. I know it's hard to fall asleep, but do your best. 'Cause there's a place that I go to when I walk.
So welcome back to this week's video. Today we're at Strid Woods in Yorkshire. We're sort of at the minute warming up with a little bit of a shot here with this bridge. So what I quite like about this shot is the arch with the tree in the background, and you've got this lovely foreground with these rocks with all of this sort of moss growing on them, and the rapid of the water, the movement in that water is creating a bit of interest in the midground. At the minute I'm just waiting for some light just to cast on that bridge a little bit, because it is looking a little flat, and I've gone for a vertical shot again on this one just to try and get as much of that scene in as I can. Focus stacked on the foreground and again on the bridge just to get some sharpness. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning. There's quite a few people here already, but we've come out today really to try and get some woodland images. There's a social distancing sort of route in place, so we've come in the opposite direction with the I suppose the route of the path, and we're hoping at some point that we can get over the Strid, walk down and into the woodland. We're also hoping to come across some bluebells, which would be a little bit of a bonus. But yeah, it's nice. I think the first couple of shots that I always take anyway, I always look back on and think, they're a bit meh. I suppose it's that warming up when you go out and sort of training your eye again to look at a scene and pick it out. But yeah, it's nice. There's a little duck with its ducklets. Are they ducklets? Chicks? Ducklings. Just going across the water there, it's lovely. Absolutely lovely. So who knew ducklets were actually called ducklings? We had a little chuckle about that. But we've just walked back into Strid Woods and come across the first little area of bluebells that we've seen. A little bit disappointed because they look a bit dishevelled. I do like the colour of this trunk with this stone wall in the background, and then the colour of the bluebells in the foreground, but it's just, I think, I don't know whether they're not open enough, or whether, I don't know whether they've been trampled on a little bit, but they just don't look how I expected, to be honest. So we'll carry on and see if we can find some a bit further down. Okay, so on the way down, we've just been sort of scouting out a couple of little spots just to see what the bluebells are doing really. And I think what it is, there's not enough light that's catching them, so they're opening up. But we've just settled on this little scene here just to try and take a wider scene with the colour of the bluebells running through it. So there's a path that just leads you up. You've got this great big tree to my right, and then the path just leads you round through that scene with this colour in the foreground, which looks really nice. The sun's coming in and out, and probably it's better with a bit of soft light. To be honest, the forecast today was rain, so we were thinking, excellent, let's go to the woods, it'll be perfect. But we've got sunshine. Maybe need to look at which apps we're using probably to check the weather. But we've just been talking to a couple that have walked past who's told us about a little spot on the other side of the river where there's sort of a beautiful carpet covered of bluebells. So hopefully we'll be able to find that. Been doing quite a few handheld shots as well, and if you've watched our previous videos you'll know that I'm not great at handheld, but just so that we're not really disturbing the bluebells too much and sort of settling a tripod down, just tried to pick out a couple of scenes handheld. The light was catching some of the leaves nice on the trees, and it was more that caught my eye with the bluebells in the foreground. But yeah, I mean, I suppose it's just trying to pick out those little compositions and maybe sort of singling out trees that have got nice clusters around them, and trying some wider shots as well, just to see what works best for you and what you like. So we're going to carry on and see what we can find, and we'll speak to you again in a bit. So this section of the Strid, which I think the river is part of the river wharf, I believe, but this section here of the Strid is apparently the most dangerous section of a river in the whole of the UK. When we were doing a little bit of research about coming here today, I was thinking surely that's not right, but apparently just through this section here it goes as deep as maybe 2 double-decker buses, and further up the river where it's quite wide, it comes down into this section here, causing absolutely ridiculous undercurrents, and quite a few people have actually unfortunately lost their lives in this section. You wouldn't know it just looking at it, and that's probably the danger of water a little bit. We can't actually get down to that section thankfully from this point, but we are going to try and get down to the water's edge and maybe just get a little waterfall shot, and then try and make our way around to the other side to try and see that carpet. I am conscious that I've not spoken to you too much about settings. The light is constantly changing, it's coming in and out, so you're adjusting your settings all the time with whatever the light's doing. A couple of shots I did set up the tripod just to focus stack the bluebells in the front with a tree at the back, and typically sort of I'm using around f8 on ISO 100. So we'll carry on walking, see what we find, and we'll see you in a bit. So what I'm trying to focus on is a little bit of a simpler composition. I've done wide and I've tried to get in, but so far I feel that I've not really got anything that I can sort of say I'm really pleased with. So I'm just trying to focus on simple, and just picked out these 2 trees here with the bluebells coming down the embankment. It is quite a simple shot. There are a couple of other trees just in this background, and what I might do is just move a bit further round to take a shot with those out, just to see which I prefer. I focused on this tree in the middle, and I'm on f6.3, a shallower depth of field, just to try and create a little bit of a dreamy feel to the shot maybe. ISO 100 and 1/8 of a second. So I'm going to move around and try and cut those trees out whilst still being able to see these other 2. And carry on. We literally keep stopping at every little tree and sort of every little scene, thinking, can we make something of it? Because it really is absolutely beautiful. It's part of the Bolton Abbey Estate, and you do need to pre-book your tickets for the car park before you come. Scan your ticket and you're good to go. So if anybody is thinking about coming down, just have a look on the website and pre-book. But it is just lovely. It is so nice. The light seems to have settled down. It's not really in and out and harsh anymore. So we've got some really nice soft light. So hoping to get maybe a few shots that I think, yeah, happy with those, and we'll share them with you. We've been here now for about 2.5 hours already, and just found this absolutely lovely little scene. So it's just off the path, but there is a path that leads down to it. So we've again been really careful about where we're standing and where I've positioned the tripod, just so that I'm not trampling the bluebells. But you've got this really dominant tree here in the sort of centre of the image, with this fallen branch and then this carpet of bluebells. And what's really nice is you've got a lovely scene either side of it as well. So to my left, there's another fallen branch that's just resting. And what I've done is a panel on this shot. So I've started over here at these trees and then just sort of worked my way through. And hopefully that'll stitch up quite nice. The only thing is I've got some sky in this scene, but it isn't blue, so that's not too bad. And I am debating on putting my long lens on and just maybe trying to just pick out a couple of compositions, and then I think we're going to call it a day. We are now on the same level as the water, but there isn't any sort of cascades, any drops. So we're going to rule that one out and just focus really on the trees. I am quite partial to a little waterfall. But the other thing that is absolutely just been such a treat is that as we sort of came through, just a little deer, not sure what sort of a deer it is, but just a little deer was just by these trees, and it's just worked its way up the hill and just stopped and looked at us for a few minutes. It still is sort of milling around up there, and it's just absolutely lovely to see. So yeah, we're going to, like I say, maybe do a couple more handheld. Just on that shot, just settings wise, I'm on f13, just trying to get some sharpness. 2.5 of a second, and ISO 100. But it's absolutely lovely. Stunning. So we couldn't resist one last shot on the way back, just of this absolutely magnificent tree trunk and the roots. There's so much detail. You've got the colour with the leaves. It's just incredible. We hope you've enjoyed the video. We feel that it's been a little disjointed, but that's probably because we've stopped off so many times.
To see the ducklets.
To see the ducklets, yeah, the bluebells, the trees. It's been absolutely lovely. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. We'll see you next week. Adios.
Go for a little walk, she says. 8.5 miles.